What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. My name is Owie of House Owienitis. That's right. I got the sword with me. I got my blade, my steel. Game of Thrones is back, baby. It is back. And I gotta say, I was not disappointed. I'm just gonna say that right off the back. So I'm gonna let more people trickle in, see if anyone else joins this live stream. We're going to be having a spoiler discussion about the season premiere of The House of Dragons. A lot of people have been waiting for this. This really hasn't been on my radar, sad to say. I completely forgot about it. But we're going to be talking spoilers, full-on spoilers, full steam ahead. So if you have not watched Game of Thrones, if you have not watched any of the previous series, I mean, there's like 8 seasons. So I'm going to be spoiling, I'm going to be throwing a lot of spoilers out there with this new episode, with the old stuff, and possibly with what could happen, because I did look into the future. I used the powers of Google and YouTube, and I looked into the lore of the Dance of Dragons, which is the story that this is based off of the Civil War of the Targaryen dynasty. So this story takes place 100, almost 200 years before the previous Game of Thrones series, like before Daenerys Targaryen was even born. So it takes place almost 200 years before all that. So I did look into it. I'm going to try not to spoil anything that happens or that could happen in this show, because honestly, here's what I hope. I know a lot of people have a sour taste in their mouth about Game of Thrones Season 8. I do myself. I was actually the friend. I loved Game of Thrones so much, by the way. It had a huge inspiration on my life, for God's sake. I mean, Tyrion Lannister was a huge inspiration. Because of him, I was able to, I wasn't rich like a Lannister, but I took what little I had, and I traveled around the world, okay? I tried to mimic what he's done, did a fair bit of backpacking. A few visits to a couple brothels, I might say, but that's neither here nor there. But Game of Thrones was a huge inspiration in my life. I went to Dubrovnik, where they film a majority of the King's Landing scenes, so it was, it was so great to be back in King's Landing and be back in, that Dubrovnik, Croatia, where they film a lot of on-location filming for the series, and they have been doing that for, a bunch of episodes, so I loved coming back, honestly, and I thought this first episode almost knocked it out of the park, honestly. I'm going to kind of put the sword down because my arm's getting a little tired. So there's my steel. Do I have a name for this? I don't have a name for this sword yet. I got to think of a name for it. I'm going to call it the Bastard Maker. This sword is the Bastard Maker. AZB Kings. I love the sword, bud. Zappa's in here. Okay, we got Zappa, AZB Kings, 172 years. That's right. Feel free, chat. Fact check me anytime you want. If I get shit wrong, feel to correct me. I want you all to be involved as well in the chat. Okay, I am the king. Okay, I am the rightful ruler of the 7 kingdoms, but I'm not a dictator. Not a dictator yet. I could turn into Joffrey. I could, but for right now, I'm going to be a fair and benevolent ruler. So, all right. Let's see if anyone else joins in. I love that sword. Betty, you want me to name it? No, this is the Bastard Maker. Okay, the sword is named the Bastard Maker. For my many victories on the battlefield, for the children with no fathers, this sword is the cause of that. This sword is the cause of that. All right. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, before I went rambling on. Yeah, Game of Thrones, man. I was the friend. I forgot I was going to make a point here, but I was the friend that was defending Season 8 at first. Like, every illogical thing that they did in Season 8, I was like, well, maybe there's a reason they did this because of this and that. I tried so hard. To defend Season 8, but, I stopped at the point where they were leaving goddamn Starbucks cups in the middle of scenes. They were so damn lazy and in a rush to get Season 8 out. They were leaving water bottles and Starbucks coffee cups on the editing floor. Unacceptable. But it is what it is. Season 8 happened, and now we got the prequel series of The House of the Dragons. We got new showrunners leading the charge, and let's just get right into the season premiere, man. The season premiere, I liked it. I liked it. If I had to give a rating on it, in terms of quality, in terms of storytelling, acting, easy, easy 4 out of 5 O's. I mean, maybe I'm biased towards Game of Thrones. Maybe I've been waiting for Game of Thrones to come back with something solid. And yeah, I mean, this first episode hooked me. I mean, I'm going to try to break it down from the major events that happened within the show. Like I said, if you're in the chat, feel free to chime in because we're going to be talking about Game of Thrones episode 1. Let's do this. Let's do this. So, yeah, the beginning of the season premiere, right? It opens up with the Great Council. We get a voiceover from, I think it's older Rhaenyra Targaryen, who's the young girl in the series, and I like the actress playing her. I like her character so far. She's gonna play a major role in all this, so yeah, get ready. It's gonna be a female-centric. At least the 2 main females are the cause of a lot of things that are gonna happen. I don't want to spoil too much, but it's her and Alicent Hightower, which is the other younger girl that she's hanging around with in the show. And they're gonna cause a lot of shit because of them two, and a lot of people trying to take advantage and maneuver their way like chess pieces on a board. That's why the Game of Thrones, the shit's chess, it ain't checkers. So, Irish Blessing, what did I miss? We're talking Game of Thrones, man. We're talking Game of Thrones. Is this a spoiler alert? Yes, Zappa. I did say earlier that I was going to be posting a lot of spoilers. So if you have not watched anything Game of Thrones, if you didn't watch this newest episode either, I'm gonna be getting deep with the spoilers, okay? I'm gonna be getting deep. So, yeah, if you want to leave now, if you want to jump off the ship, now is the time to do it because I'm going to get into the spoilers. I'm just going to be breaking down the episode, brother. Or sister, whatever sex you are, Zap. I'm pretty sure you're a male because I know you in real life and you are a male. So, yeah, I'm going to go full spoilers. So, get off now if you don't want to be spoiled. But, yeah, the Great Council. So, it opens up with voiceover with them explaining the world and the Targaryen dynasty, all that, which that Targaryen dynasty, I mean, this is at a point in time where, they're running the show. And I got to say, I want to live in the Targaryen era because they had shit together for the most part. I mean, I know this show is the beginning of the downfall, but man, put me in that economy. I mean, the Targaryens had a good thing going before they just messed it up, which is, like every great dynasty throughout history, it seems every great dynasty falls from within. And we haven't learned anything from Rome, Constantinople, anything from those, previous empires. Every great empire falls from within. So you hate to see it. But yeah. So the whole beginning, I mean, just to put it in perspective with minor spoilers, during this time before, like after the House of the Dragons, after the Civil War, there were like over 20 dragons, I think. It's something like that. Like there were over 20 dragons that existed. After the Dance of the Dragons, like only 4 existed, and they didn't even last long. So this was like the end of the dragons and that whole period of the Targaryen, the dynasty, So let's see here. AZB King says, I don't want to hear the word White Walkers in the show. I did hear it at the very end. Oh, yeah. I was going to get into that a little later with the White Walkers and the whole premonition. But you know what? Fuck it. We'll just get into it right now. Okay? AZB Kings, we'll get into it right now since you mentioned that. So in the scene, during the middle of the episode, we get this scene where King Viserys is talking to Princess Rhaenyra about taking the duty when he decides to make her the heir to the throne instead of Daemon. They pretty much explain the birth of Jon Snow. They talk about the song of Fire and Ice, or Ice and Fire, which is pretty much the birth of the one who will save us from the impending winter. Which I have a theory about all this going on, why they're going so hard in the paint about the fire or the song of Fire and Ice, which ended up being so irrelevant in the end of things, in the end of season 8. Like the war with the White Walkers ended up being nothing. It was a throwaway episode. It was built up through 8 seasons, and at the end of the day, it took one battle. But So here's my theory after that. So after that, after the abysmal season 8 ending, which there were some parts I liked, I'm not gonna lie, but since they're kind of going back to the storyline of the long winter, and there's been a new announcement of Jon Snow. Jon Snow. They're gonna bring him back and have his own spin-off series. So they're not done with his story, and his story had to do a lot with winter, with the Dark Knight, with the Night King and all that happening back there. So hopefully they could find a way to bring the White Walkers back in a way where the shit wasn't over. Maybe they grow back stronger. They could redeem it somehow with a Jon Snow storyline. I mean, he's up there up north. They could bring him back because honestly, what would you bring back Jon Snow? Like, what story would you give him? I mean, the guy could have had the most epic ending ever, and he didn't do much at the end of season 8. He really didn't do much besides kill Daenerys Targaryen. But I think they're gonna find a way to redeem that storyline with the new Jon Snow spinoff. So because that was a great scene when he's talking to her about what all these previous kings learned, like the premonition of what's to come. Like that was a pretty good scene and a great build up to the future, which we know the future, and we were all disappointed. But back to the show and back to House of Dragons. Courtney Reed in the comment section says, I didn't watch Game of Thrones. Can I start the prequel or will I be lost? No, this is you could start the prequel. There's no like future flashbacks at anything that happens. So if you're just getting started, like, and you wanna delve your feet, dip your toes in that Game of Thrones lore, I think this is a solid start because the budget, I mean, let's just talk about the budget in the show so far. The opening scenes after the Great Council, I'm going into spoilers, by the way, but we get a scene with Princess Rhaenyra on a dragon flying through King's Landing. Man, I got the feels right there. I got goosebumps because it did remind me of the good old days when Daenerys Targaryen used to ride her dragon. And she was driving it over King's Landing, but instead of burning it down like crazy-ass Daenerys Targaryen, she was just joyriding. So I like the contrast in that. But yeah, just seeing King's Landing in its prime, the dragon riding, the special effects were phenomenal, by the way. You could tell a lot was put into this first episode. Like, the budget looks great. The set pieces, the locations, from what I could tell, they're on the like real set locations most of the time. So like a lot of locations feel familiar from the original season, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so the budget is good. I loved hearing Ramin Djawadi, the composer for the music. I love hearing the themes. Keep the themes, man. I know there's going to be new musical pieces, but one of the best things about Game of Thrones was the music. Every house had their own theme song. It was awesome, man. And low-key, man, Greyjoy, House Greyjoy had probably the hardest theme music. I'm going to say that right off the bat. I think Greyjoy had the hardest theme music. I like their house theme a lot, but yeah, glad to see that the composer for the original series is back. I love the Targaryen theme as well. So the music, that scene with the dragon coming in, her coming to talk to her mom and everything, that was a good, that was a good step. I mean, the whole beginning was a good way to reintroduce us into this world, and especially the Targaryen family. We get to see what this family was all about because in the original series, we're just told that they're batshit crazy. That's pretty much it. They're batshit crazy. They ruled for a long time. At the end of the day, the Mad King lost his mind and was killed by the Kingslayer, baby. That's right, Kingslayer. Got the shirt right here for Jaime Lannister. Jaime fucking Lannister. So, yeah. I like seeing that. And then Daemon Targaryen's introduction, all of that was great, man. I'm trying to think of what else. Like what else did I like about this episode? Like the small council meetings, like when we're introduced to King Viserys, who I think he did a good job. I gotta see what the actor's name is. What the actor of King Viserys, the first, not to confuse you guys, because there is Viserys in the original series, Daenerys' brother, who gets the golden crown in season 1 by Khal Drogo. But yeah, Paddy Considine. I like that actor. He was a solid actor, and You like the thing is, King Viserys isn't supposed. He's a good king. He's a well liked king, but he isn't like Damon said in the episode. He's pretty soft. Like he's not as tough. So yeah, I thought he was perfect for the role because you're like, man, this king he seems pretty chill. I like this king. Like, would I believe him? Like, could he lead a war? Like, is he a war king? Maybe not, but he had a chill feeling, and I like the actor that was playing him. He was pretty solid. The casting was right on. I like the little girl who plays Rhaenyra. She was good. She kind of had like a rebellious Arya Stark type feel, where since in this world so far, a woman cannot rule. That's kind of the whole point, and the whole catalyst for things happening is we'll get in. Well, we'll just get into that right now. So, in the beginning, we get this. The princess or the queen. I forget her name. Viserys' Queen Targaryen. She's pregnant with a son, and this is all King Viserys ever wanted. It's pretty sad too. They talk in the show, or they have a conversation. It was a really good scene where the queen tells him, like, "Look, I'm done with this shit. I'm done. Like, I've already had like two stillborns, and there were like five or something births, and like four of them failed. Like, that's pretty fucking sad. That was a sad scene to like see her so defeated. We didn't get a lot of time with her, but like it was a pretty sad scene watching her explain to the king, like, I can't keep doing this. I'm tired of having my heart broken. Like, I'm sorry I failed you, but if I fail again, that is it. Which is pretty sad because it leads up to the events of the birth of Balon Targaryen, which they named him. And I like the contrast in scenes, how they kept intercutting the birth of Balon Targaryen and the tourney that King Viserys throws in his honor, which that's pretty poetic, right? How things occurred. Like, he's throwing this violent tourney with all these knights who are just trying to beat the shit out of each other to welcome his newborn son. And his newborn son ends up having the most violent birth of all and doesn't survive. In fact, King Viserys makes the toughest decision of listening to the maesters, like, I had this chance to like have my son be born, but at the same time, I'm gonna have to kill my wife. And that scene was brutal. I loved how it was edited. I loved the tourney, everything that was going on with Daemon Targaryen, and it was just cut with the violent birth. And that birth was hard to watch. I love violent action scenes, but I almost wanted to turn away at the birth of Balon, or is it Baelor or Balon? Well, Balon Targaryen, man, that was rough to watch. It was really sad. And of course, his wife dies. He makes a tough choice of letting her die because you need an heir. He needs an heir. In this world, he needs to have a son to keep the lineage going. Because in this world, his council, his hand of the king, Otto Hightower, they're not fond of Daemon Targaryen, who is the heir to the throne should anything happen. So, yeah, that was pretty. I like the dynamic between Daemon Targaryen and the rest of the small councils, including the Hand of the King, Otto Hightower. They got a beef going on. They got a little rivalry. I love the little politics in that. That was one of the allures of Game of Thrones, was the politics between characters, and it carries over. It carries over in this series as well. I like the rivalry between Daemon and Hightower. So. It was a rough birth. Yeah, it was a rough birth, man. That was brutal. That was a brutal scene to watch. Doctor said you either sacrifice one or both die. He took the gamble. And they both ended up dying, which is crazy. If only he would have lived, we could have skipped all this crazy shit that we're about to get. Because after the birth, we get that scene, the funeral scene, which actually, let me rewind back to Daemon Targaryen. I was just talking about how they're not really keen on him being the heir to the throne should anything happen with King Viserys. Daemon Targaryen, he's pretty solid. I like the actor Chris Smith. I wasn't unsure when he was cast as Daemon. I was like, is he going to have enough presence? I know he was in Doctor Who and stuff. He definitely has the look. Can he carry the role of Daemon? Because from what I've researched, Daemon Targaryen might be the spotlight of the show so far. But yeah, he killed it. I love Daemon Targaryen. He was by far my favorite part of the premiere so far. He was kind of, they don't want him to be king because he's kind of, he's kind of impulsive and reckless, and but the show doesn't portray him as a bad guy. He has moments of vulnerability. Like you could tell he really cares about Rhaenyra Targaryen. Maybe a little too much. It might be a little creepy, but I mean, this is Game of Thrones. If we don't include a little incest, we're not doing it right. So you could tell he cares about Rhaenyra, and you could tell he cared about Viserys, his brother. Now, what his true ambition is? Does he really want to be king, or does he just want to be, part of the Targaryen powerhouse? We don't know yet, but his character is interesting, and it seems like the show is going in the route where, at the end of everything, after the funeral, which the funeral was a great scene, where Viserys has the dragons burn the bodies of his dead wife and son, and Queen Rhaenyra has to say Dracarys because Viserys is so broken he can't do it, and Prince Daemon is the one who encourages Rhaenyra to be the strength for the king. I like that scene a lot because it showed more depth into Daemon as a character. Before everything, he was the head of the city watch. He was, chopping the dicks off rapists and slicing killers' heads off, just trying to control crime, which I like that scene, man. That scene was brutal. It was awesome. If you're apprehensive about Game of Thrones losing its touch in the gratuitous violence and sex scenes, it carries over. Surprisingly, you think they'd tone it down a bit? This show kept that tradition, which I'm happy about. It wouldn't be Game of Thrones if we didn't have sex and violence and nudity. So I'm glad that's still a part of the show. But yeah, that scene was cool when he's leader of the city watch and they just go tearing house to stop crime. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you got to do it. I'm sure some cities in the U.S. could use a little bit of what Daemon Targaryen and his law enforcement's offering. I'm just saying. But yeah, Daemon Targaryen, reckless, impulsive. Majority of the small council don't approve of him becoming king should anything happen. So that makes for an interesting dynamic because they don't want Daemon to take the throne if anything happens, but at the same time, they don't want to ruin the law of succession because this is a place of rules and traditions. And all King Viserys has is his daughter Rhaenyra. Like the whole episode, she's kind of implying to Alicent Hightower that she knows she has to play her role, which is her dad doesn't care about her, really never paid much attention because she's just a princess. In this world, that's all she's ever going to be. She even wants to be a warrior. Like I said earlier, she kind of reminded me of Arya Stark. All she wanted to do was be a warrior and ride dragons, which why not? That seems like a badass life, especially if you're a Targaryen. But yeah. So having that whole scene with Viserys having that speech with her because the small council, man, what a bunch of snakes. That's the thing about Game of Thrones. You got to watch your back. You can't trust anyone because Daemon was, a little drunk with his crew. What a boss, right? You clean up the city and your boss rewards you with a free night at the brothel house. What a boss. I'd work under Daemon Targaryen. But they're just chilling in the brothel. He talks some shit, and his brother Viserys hears about it. And he's so heated because Daemon kind of mocked the death of his son. He called him the king for a day, which that's pretty damn cold. So I think impulsively, and because of the snakes in the small council, Viserys decided to go another route, to break the rules and just name Rhaenyra the heir instead of Daemon. Which that's pretty much the biggest point of the episode right here is the first rift between the Targaryen household. This is where you begin to see the split in everything. Sides are being made. There's a great scene where they bring this up to King Viserys before he even makes the decision. They're kind of just giving him ways out of not making Daemon the successor to the throne. And there's a great scene, man. As soon as people start seeing the power opportunities, man, once the grass is cut, the snakes will show. And King Viserys started seeing all these sons of bitches start talking about what should happen when he is the king. So King Viserys, he freaks out on his small council, which was good. That was very king-like when he freaks out on them and tells them like, "Yo, my family just died. Like, cool it, you assholes." And he walks off. So yeah, I mean, that was a good scene. But it just shows you like once power's available, everyone's coming for it. Game of Thrones, baby, it's back. It's back. So yeah, that was a good scene, and so that's how pretty much the episode ends. I'm missing a lot. I know I'm missing a lot of in between stuff, which I'll try to cover. But the ending of the episode, we pretty much get Rhaenyra being named the heir to the throne, and Daemon is off in the dragon pit, petting his horned dragon, which he might have the coolest looking dragon so far. And we did get a lot of dragons. I did like how we got to see the dragons in their prime. It wasn't just Targaryens who were allowed to take care of the dragons. They had dragon herders in this show, which was pretty cool. They had some people herding the dragons after they're done riding them, so that's pretty cool. That's a dangerous job, but I like that. That was pretty cool. And was there enough characters to care about other than like Daemon, Rhaenyra, Viserys, Alicent Hightower, and Otto Hightower? So I'll talk about them. We had a scene with Alicent and her father, which was a pretty creepy scene. He's pretty much urging his daughter to start making moves on the morning King Viserys. So he's, Hightower, man. Otto Hightower. I mean, how old are these girls in this scene? I know this is Game of Thrones, so it's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy that he's offering his daughter, who doesn't even look like she's 16 yet, and he's starting to have her make moves on the king so he could get some of that power. Because if he could get Alicent to marry the king, birth a son, boom, Hightowers, now they got a prominent place on the throne as well. So you can already see the pieces being moved, and I like that. So pretty crazy that Hightower is doing that to his young daughter, which, I mean, this is Game of Thrones. I mean, that's the rule in Game of Thrones. If she bleeds, she breeds. I mean, as sick as that sounds, that's the rules in Game of Thrones. And that was the rules back in the day, especially when they needed to continue the lineage in all these powerful families. So that was pretty interesting. Zappa, can you review on C? What is C? Oh, is C the Jason Momoa show on and Batista's on there too. It's like about being blind and shit. I don't have Apple TV, so I'd have to do a lot to review C. But I don't have Apple TV. AZB says good chess move though. It was a good chess move. I mean, if you're looking for power, that's a good chess move right there. And he's playing the long game. He's not just going like telling her, "Hey, go in there and start filling him up." No. He's like, start placing little seeds in his head so when he's ready, he'll come take you. Because that's the thing. Because in this world, a woman cannot be the heir or cannot take the throne, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be against that. And that's how everything's going to start pretty much. So is Daemon going to be the major player for, the successor, or are other players going to pop up? I mean, that's how it is. That's how it starts. The Game of Thrones, the pieces are there. So we get everything happening. And obviously, if you've seen the trailers, there's going to be a time jump because there's another older actress that plays Rhaenyra Targaryen, Alicent Hightower. So we're going to have a time jump eventually in the show, which I don't know how is that going to be like they're going to be young and then boom, they're older. We're not going to see the younger actresses anymore. Like, are they going to have flashbacks that still use the younger actresses, or are we going to just have boom, time jump, different actress or actors playing characters? So there's going to be a time jump somewhere in the season, but I'm trying to think, what else did I miss in this season premiere? I think I hit pretty much the main plot points, but like I said, I just enjoyed being back in this world. I thought they did a good job introducing us, and this just feels more cinematic. It feels more like short series format. In the original Game of Thrones series, that was like a hangout show at sometimes. Like sometimes you were just like hanging out with characters. Like the plot was moving, but you were having in-depth conversations and just getting to know these characters. Like a lot of scenes with Tyrion. Like some of my favorite scenes in Game of Thrones were like season 2 to 3 or 2 to 4, where we're just hanging out with Tyrion, Bronn, and Pod. and they're just hanging around in brothels, scheming, talking shit. Those scenes were some of my favorite. So I don't think we're gonna get scenes like that here. They're gonna have to introduce a lot more characters, and I don't think there's enough episodes to have that sort of feel. Like in Game of Thrones, you got a good feel of the world. Like every main character had a supporting cast around them. Like each story arc. Like Tyrion had his own crew, the Starks, Arya. I mean, all these main characters had an amazing supporting cast around them with characters you wanted to get to know too. I don't think the show is gonna have that much of a vibe where you're like every character is like amazing. I think it's gonna focus on mostly just the key players. If that make any sense? Like we're not gonna have as many cool side characters as in Game of Thrones. Like in Game of Thrones, like sellswords and even like squires were cool, and we got to know a little bit more about them. I don't think we're gonna have time for that much character progression for each character in this series, if that makes sense. But yeah, man, I thought this was a solid opening so far for the season premiere. I gave it a rating. I gave it a 4 out of 5. Yeah, it had to be 4 out. I mean, was it like an A? Is that like a 9 out of 10 or a B out of 10? My rating system's so weird, man. My rating system. I've been accused of being too generous to shows. I actually looked at all my videos, and I don't think I've given one bad review yet, because the only things I want to talk about lately are the good shows. I was gonna do this live show was gonna be dedicated to a whole bunch of stuff like the UFC fights and the She-Hulk premiere, but I don't want to talk about She-Hulk. I mean, I could later on or make a video just dedicated to She-Hulk so I could just shit on it, but that was an abysmal start to that show. But this show was just mostly the discussion of episode 1, what I thought of House of the Dragon. I'll probably do this for every episode, hopefully, just do a casual spoiler talk for every episode. That way you guys could join up too. And if there's anything I missed, like I said, just go in the comment section. Tell me when I missed, or if you disagree with what I said. This is a discussion for all. I want to know what you guys thought about this series too, because we were all hurt. Everyone was hurting after season 8 of Game of Thrones. We were all looking to the answers. We were all looking to the 7, the old gods and the new, and the 7. We were looking for them for answers on how did you do this? Why did this happen in Game of Thrones? But it's going to be really hard to follow that mistake. And if they do, HBO, they need a lot of work to do, because the story is there. The blueprint from start to finish, it's there. If you want to know how the Dance of the Dragons and the story ends, everything that happens in the middle, the lore is out there. So it's going to be hard to mess things up when they don't have to make things up like D&D did, the showrunners of Game of Thrones did. Like, they don't have to make up the ending. The ending's already there. As long as they stay loyal to the source material, as well as they can while making it entertaining, they can't mess it up. So, and if they do, man, whew. Easy peasy. Will you have guests on the show? Yeah, I mean, there's some friends out there I wish would join. There's some friends out there I would love to bring in, see their thoughts. I'd set everything up, and then we could have more Game of Thrones talk. But yeah, maybe down the line I'll have guests, and we can have more people talk about each episode. That'd be fun. Or shows in general. I can't review shows by myself. There's so much. I mean, I'm doing this by myself, but at least I had the chat. But if I had another person to look at and talk to, that'd make life a lot easier, especially when you're talking about shows, because there's so much stuff in like shows that you want to come across in your reviews when you're just filming it, but it's hard. I forget a lot of shit, and most of the time I don't take notes. I like to wing it, baby. Okay, I'm a freestyler. I like to wing it. So, but that's something I need to do. I have a face for radio. Irish Bliss. I have a face for radio. Well, we could fix it. If you want to join in, maybe we can make you a cartoon character or something. As long as you have a voice for radio, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. But yeah. So that was my thoughts on episode 1. There will be more spoilers discussion for episode 2. So yeah, just expect me to drop a video like this talking about each episode each week. I know in my channel I say I have a lot of broken promises on this channel where I'll review something, but I don't end up reviewing it. And I'm working on that, I'm working on that. but easy. People are laughing at Irish Blessing in the chat. But all right, everyone, that's my spoiler discussion of episode 1 of House of the Dragons. Thanks for tuning in. This was a fun stream after the abysmal. My last live show, everything was working, and then as soon as I started the show, the goddamn audio started going in and out. So hopefully everything was running smooth in this live show. This is my 3rd attempt. Okay, so give me a break here. I'm still trying to micromanage all this stuff, which I like doing. This is pretty fun. I like these live shows. So that's the video, guys. Post down in the comment section down below. Once again, of what you thought of House of the Dragon. This is a free spoilers. You could post all that down below. I put the warning already. There is spoilers, so spoil what you think is going to happen, what you know is going to happen, what facts, Easter eggs I missed. Post all that. Give me a rating on the show. Yeah, give me all that. Okay, I want to know what you guys thought. Okay, and remember to smash that like button on the video. Okay, I am the OE Reviews once again of House Owe-nitis. Thank you to all my Owe Knights who joined me today. Okay, I am the watcher on the wall, all right? I am the shield that guards the realms of men. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.